Hello, everyone. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'll start when the time is right, or I'm just waiting for a sign? Let's stop right there. Because here's the truth. If you keep waiting for a sign, you'll miss the opportunity to become one. The world doesn't move for those who stand still. It moves for those who stand up. Every single day, people sit on the sidelines of their own lives, hoping for a clear signal, a lucky break, a green light that tells them it's finally time to go after what they want. But let me ask you something. What if the only sign you'll ever get is the fire inside you that refuses to die? We've been conditioned to believe that greatness will arrive like a lightning bolt, a sudden spark of divine permission to move forward. But more often than not, that moment never comes. Not because you're not capable, not because the dream isn't real, but because you're waiting for a signal that was always meant to come from you. There is a shift that happens when you stop waiting. You begin to understand that your life isn't a puzzle waiting to be solved. It's a masterpiece waiting to be painted. And the brush, it's already in your hands. Waiting for signs is passive. It's safe. It feels easy. But becoming the signal, that's where the real power lies. That's where momentum is born. That's where your story begins to shift. When you become the signal, you stop asking, "Can I?" and start declaring, "Watch me." You take the first step when everyone else is still hesitating. You raise your voice when others whisper. You don't need someone else's roadmap. You draw your own. Because the truth is, leaders aren't made from signs. Leaders are the signs. They become the signals that others follow. In this speech, we're going to break down exactly what it means to stop waiting for validation, opportunity, or timing, and instead start generating it from within. This is a call to action, a wake-up call to your own potential. You don't need more signs. You need more belief, more movement, and more decision. So if you're tired of wondering when it will finally be your time, this is it. You are the signal, and it's time the world saw you shine. We live in a world where waiting has become a habit. We wait for the right timing. We wait for validation. We wait for someone to tell us we're ready. We wait for confidence, clarity, a sign from the universe, something, anything, to give us permission to begin. But let's get one thing straight. You don't need permission to pursue your purpose. You need courage to start without it. Waiting is the silent killer of dreams. Not because you lack potential, but because you keep stalling it. You keep convincing yourself that if the stars align, then you'll finally make the move. But here's the raw truth. The stars will never align perfectly. The timing will never be flawless. And most people won't see your vision until after you've made it real. That's just how it is. Think about every game changer, every history maker, every person who did something truly impactful. Do you really think they waited for someone to tap them on the shoulder and say, "You're good enough now, you can begin"? No. They started before they were ready. They moved without certainty. They acted before the applause. They didn't wait for the opportunity. They created it. And so can you. You weren't born to play small. You weren't born to tiptoe around your greatness, waiting for permission slips from people who don't even understand your vision. You were born to create, to lead, to build something real. And none of that starts until you stop hesitating and start doing. Let's call it like it is. Waiting is a comfortable cage. It feels safe. No risk, no rejection, no failure. But guess what else you avoid? Growth, progress, fulfillment, because nothing changes in waiting. Everything changes in doing. Every minute you spend doubting yourself is a minute you're not building your dream. Every time you think, "I'll do it later," the window of opportunity quietly narrows. Later turns into never. Potential turns into regret. And you start wondering what could have been if only you had started sooner. Now let me flip that perspective for you. What happens when you decide to stop waiting? When you stop asking if you're allowed to chase your dream, and you just go. You begin. You learn. You grow. You mess up, and then you get better. You shift from fear to momentum. And with each step, you realize that you never needed a signal from the outside. You were the signal the whole time. Permission is overrated. Movement is everything. Starting doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It means you're bold enough to figure it out as you go. It means you're willing to trust yourself, even when things feel uncertain. Because the truth is, clarity doesn't come from sitting still. Clarity comes from motion. Confidence is not a prerequisite to action. It's a result of it. So here's the challenge. Stop looking outward for a green light. Stop waiting for someone to say, "Go." Be your own green light. Declare your own start. Own your voice. Own your ambition. Own your story. This world is already full of people waiting. What it's missing are people who start. People like you. You don't need more time. You need more trust in yourself. You don't need more signs. You need more action. Because the moment you take that first bold step, no matter how small, you start generating your own momentum. And the moment you generate momentum, the world starts responding to you. You stop chasing permission and start creating results. You stop being invisible and start being undeniable. You stop waiting and start becoming. So if you've been holding back, hesitating, second guessing, today is the day that ends. Let this be the line in the sand. No more sitting in silence. No more shrinking to fit someone else's comfort. No more doubting your worth or potential. You don't need a sign. You are the sign. Start walking like it. Start speaking like it. Start living like it. Because the moment you do, everything changes. There comes a moment in every journey where the path becomes yours alone. A moment where the noise of the world fades, and the only question left is, what will you do with the power that's already in your hands? That moment is ownership, and not just any ownership, radical ownership. What does that mean? It means taking full responsibility for your choices, your direction, your energy, your outcomes. No more blaming the past, no more pointing fingers, no more excuses about who didn't support you or what resources you didn't have. Radical ownership is the mindset that says, this is my life, and I will lead it. You see, when you become the signal, you're not just reacting to life, you're generating it. You're not waiting for paths to open, you're paving new ones. You're not looking around for leadership, you're becoming your own. And that level of leadership starts with owning everything, the wins, the losses, the lessons. It's easy to own your life when things are going well, but radical ownership, that means owning it even when it's hard, even when you made mistakes, even when you failed, because your future doesn't begin where things are perfect, it begins where you take control. Too often people stay stuck because they keep giving away their power. They say things like, I would, but I don't have the right connections. I'm waiting until the timing is better. No one's supporting me. I just don't know what to do. Those sound like reasons, but they're actually delays, disguised as logic. Radical ownership cuts through all of that. It says, even if I don't have all the answers, I'll find. Even if I'm starting from scratch, I'll build. Even if it takes time, I'll stay consistent. And if I fall, I'll get up stronger. You want to know what separates those who just dream from those who actually build something meaningful. It's not money. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's ownership. When you take full responsibility for your direction, you stop waiting for life to hand you a map. You grab the compass and draw your own route. You stop waiting for someone to recognize your worth. You recognize it, and you act like it. You stop doubting if it's possible. You start proving it with every step you take. Ownership means you own your time. You stop wasting days, scrolling endlessly, or waiting for someone to show up with motivation. You create your own energy. You build your own structure. You become disciplined, because that's what leaders do. It also means you own your attitude. You stop letting fear, insecurity, or comparison make decisions for you. You choose your thoughts. You train your mindset. You protect your focus. You decide every single day that your vision matters more than your comfort zone. And perhaps most powerfully, ownership means you own your voice. You don't shrink when you speak. You don't apologize for wanting more. You don't mute your ambition just to fit into someone else's box. You say what needs to be said. You stand tall in your truth. And in doing so, you give others permission to rise too. Because here's the real power of becoming the signal. When you fully own your direction, you become someone other people can follow. You become an example, a spark, a force. You shift from living by default to living by design. You start moving with conviction instead of confusion. And no, it's not easy. Radical ownership demands more from you. It forces you to stop hiding behind circumstances and start creating solutions. It's uncomfortable, it's challenging, but it's also liberating. Why? Because once you take control, you stop being a victim of your environment and start becoming the architect of your future. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're done with waiting, hoping, wishing for something to change, here's your answer. Own it. Own your morning. Own your grind. Own your direction. Own your story. Even the messy chapters. Because that story is yours to write, not theirs to define. You are not a follower of signs. You are a maker of movements. And movements begin with leaders who refuse to wait for a signal, because they know they are the signal. Here's something most people never realize. Opportunity doesn't just knock, it responds. It doesn't chase the silent, the passive, or the hesitant. Opportunity moves toward energy. It gravitates to people who radiate belief, intention, and motion. When you become the signal, you're not chasing doors. You're building the energy that makes doors open. Let's be honest. Everyone wants opportunities. Everyone wants the big break, the right connections, the lucky moment that changes everything. But while most people wait for that moment, few understand the deeper truth. You attract what you become. If you're moving with fear, you attract hesitation. If you're moving with doubt, you attract delay. But if you're moving with belief, drive, and action, opportunities start finding you. That's not magic. That's alignment. Your energy is your message before you ever speak. The way you carry yourself, the way you show up consistently, the way you move with purpose, even when no one is clapping yet, that's the signal you send to the world. I'm not waiting. I'm building. I'm ready. Think of energy like a frequency. Every time you show up with passion, confidence, and clarity, even in small steps, you're sending out a signal, and people, possibilities, and moments on that same frequency begin to recognize you. Why? Because you're not blending in anymore. You're standing out. You're not whispering your dreams. You're walking in them. This is why some people seem lucky. It's not luck. It's the result of intentional energy. They've been planting seeds through their attitude, habits, and resilience. And when opportunity shows up, it finds them already in motion. Here's what most people get wrong. They think they need the opportunity first, and then they'll show up with energy. But that's backward. Energy comes first. Opportunity follows. So how do you build that kind of energy? Move even when it's quiet. Don't wait for applause. Build when no one's watching. The discipline you show in silence becomes the credibility that speaks for you later. You earn attention through consistency. Protect your environment. Surround yourself with people and habits that feed your flame, not those that drain it. Energy is contagious, so make sure what's around you matches the frequency of where you're going. Train your inner voice. Your mindset is the engine of your energy. The stories you tell yourself shape the power you carry. Are you speaking life into your vision, or are you constantly second-guessing your own power? Act boldly, not perfectly. High energy doesn't come from perfection. It comes from progress. When you take bold and perfect action, you generate momentum, and momentum turns ordinary days into breakthrough seasons. Serve with intent. Energy multiplies when it's not just about you. When your mission includes helping others, uplifting others, inspiring others, your energy expands. People want to connect with purpose. Lead with yours. Let's take it deeper. Have you ever noticed how magnetic people move? They walk into a room, and the atmosphere shifts. Not because they're louder or flashier, but because their energy is aligned. They know who they are. They know what they stand for, and they're not waiting. They're leading. You can be that person. You build that magnetism when you stop shrinking, when you stop hesitating, when you start becoming someone who makes decisions, takes action, and believes in the mission, even when results haven't caught up yet. That kind of belief is rare and powerful. The truth is, the world is already noisy. There are endless distractions, endless people talking, but not walking. That's why real energy cuts through. When you show up with focus and fire, you don't need to chase people down. They come to you. You don't need to beg for a seat at the table. You build your own table, and the right people will pull up a chair. Here's the hard truth. Low energy repels opportunity. If you show up inconsistent, distracted, negative, or passive, people don't trust your movement. But high energy, high commitment, high belief, that's the signal that says, I'm serious, I'm building, let's go. So if you want to attract better, you've got to become better. Not perfect, but powerful. Present, consistent. The energy you bring to your dream will determine the energy that dream brings back to you. You want to open doors. Start moving like you already belong on the other side. You want to be seen. Start showing up with energy that refuses to go unnoticed. Because when you become the signal, the world doesn't just watch. The world responds. There's something undeniably magnetic about a person who doesn't just talk about what they're going to do, but actually does it. In a world drowning in empty promises, half-finished projects, and big talk with no follow-through, one thing always rises to the top: relentless action. When you become the signal, you don't just change your own life, you light the way for others. And that's where true greatness begins. You see, people are not only listening to your words, they're watching your consistency. They're watching how you respond to failure, how you bounce back after setbacks, how you keep showing up when things are slow, tough, or uncertain. Your relentless action becomes someone else's reminder that progress is possible, even when it's not perfect. That's what becoming the signal really means. It's not about waiting for the spotlight. It's about being the spark. Your effort, your grind, your courage, it creates ripple effects. Your journey becomes a story that others can look to and say, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And that matters more than you know. We often think we need to be at the top before we can inspire others. We tell ourselves, once I make it, then I'll be an example. But that's a lie. You inspire through the climb, not the summit. It's in the way you keep pushing when no one's watching. It's in how you fail forward, how you recommit, how you walk your talk. People don't need another perfect influencer. They need proof that persistence works. They need to see someone who dared to believe before there was evidence. Let that be you. Relentless action doesn't mean you never rest. It means you never quit. It means your effort is non-negotiable, even if progress is slow, even if others don't understand, even if your dream is misunderstood, underfunded, or unsupported. You keep going because you believe in what you're building, and that belief becomes contagious. There's something deeply empowering about about being the kind of person who doesn't need external motivation to move. When you build that internal fire, the one that burns regardless of conditions, you don't just build success, you build leadership. Because people follow courage, people follow consistency, people follow those who go first. And the world is desperate for those kinds of examples. People are searching for someone bold enough to move, without a map, brave enough to act without applause, focused enough to keep building, even when the results are invisible. That's the call of becoming the signal. Your action becomes the lesson, your habits become the proof, your lifestyle becomes the blueprint for someone who thought they couldn't. Don't underestimate your influence, just because you're still in progress. In fact, your progress is your influence. Your messy action matters. Your unfinished journey is powerful, because you're in it. You're not waiting for the stars to align. You're moving under cloudy skies with clear vision. That's leadership. That's how movements are born. Relentless action creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence fuels progress. And progress, even the smallest steps, creates inspiration. You want to change the world? Start by moving boldly in your own. When people see you working, sweating, building, without excuses, without shortcuts, they'll be moved. They'll begin to believe that maybe they can move too. And one by one you'll become more than a signal. You'll become a standard of effort, a standard of belief, a standard of what's possible. So let this be your reminder. You don't have to be the loudest. You don't have to have the biggest platform. You just have to move, every day, without needing a sign, without needing validation, without needing the stars to say go. You go anyway, because relentless action is rare, and rare always rises. And when it does, it doesn't just change your story, it opens the door for countless others to rewrite theirs. You are not just building for you, you're building for the people who are watching silently, hoping someone like you proves it's possible. So build, move, inspire, lead. So here we are, 4 truths, 1 message. Stop waiting for permission. Take radical ownership. Build the energy. Move with relentless action. Because the signs you've been waiting for, they're not in the sky. They're not in someone else's approval. They're not coming in some perfect magical moment. They're already inside you. You are the signal. You are the light you've been looking for. The proof you've been needing. The momentum you've been craving. You don't need to wait for opportunity. You need to become opportunity in motion, for yourself, and for the people who are watching, silently wondering if they can be brave too. Every step you take, every time you show up, when it's hard, every move you make, without waiting for a green light, you become the sign that action matters more than permission. You become the example that silence can be broken. You become the evidence that dreams are not found, they are built. So from this moment forward, don't wait for signs. Be the spark, be the voice, be the mover, be the signal. The world doesn't need more people waiting. It needs more people like you, bold enough to start, strong enough to lead, and relentless enough to finish what they began. Your time is not tomorrow. Your time is now. Go, be the signal, and don't ever dim your light, waiting for someone else to tell you to shine. Take them.